Now, before we get into Hazard, do you want to tell us about the Duke Mitchell Film Club and what you'll be taking away from that experience?
Oh man, the Duke Mitchell Film Club is what these film festivals, and this one to me is all about. It's people sharing ideas, sharing the weirdness, and I thought I brought the freaky myself, so that's the whole thing. It really embodies the festival and what FrightFest is all about. People sharing this, hey, have you seen this crazy shit? Because check it out. And we're all like-minded individuals, and feels like family,
You think you've seen it all, and then somebody's found another corner.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing. I mean, as you get older, you're like, I've seen it all, baby. Like, and you got to dig deeper. You got to wade through deeper piles of pig shit to find the pearls. But now someone else has waded through the pig shit to find the pearl for me. I love it.
Now, back to Hazard. What for you was the sort of kernel of the idea that starts this movie off for you, long before it gets to Antwerp?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to make another movie, so I don't have access to a lot of money, and I said, how can I make a movie where I can shoot it illegally in Los Angeles? What if the camera never left the car and the camera crew never left the car? Of course, I don't like contained movies like Ryan Reynolds in a box. They sort of drag on, but I was like, the car can go all over the place. And you know what? Characters can leave the car, characters can come in the car, but if we keep our crew and our camera contained, I might be able to steal an entire movie. So that was like my initial impetus for writing the entire thing was, can I make a movie in an extremely low budget in Los Angeles without anyone knowing I'm doing it? Later on, a few years later, it became this huge thing shot in Antwerp. It's crazy.
Well, I've learned something new today. Interviewing Dimitri, the lead in the film, I said to him, what was the first thing about the script that got you interested? And it was the opening line that said, this takes place entirely in a car.
Yeah, the screenplay was originally called Interior Car Day, because it takes place in a day, and we're inside of a car, and we never leave it, right? And as a matter of fact, the script opens up, and it says, this is the only scene heading you will see in this entire movie, because the camera will never leave the car until the very, 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 very end of the film. And so literally later on, when we were working on the script and breaking it down for production purposes, I had to create, now we're in this location, now we're over here. So I had to put scene breaks. But the original screenplay had one heading on page 1 and went for 95 pages and had no other scene breaks in it.
So what were the storytelling challenges then, bringing an American story to be shot illicitly into a production in Antwerp?
Actually, it was a great relief, because all of a sudden now they have money and they can do some things, and I can go a little bit bigger with some of the gags. Fundamentally, though, I'm always trying to write a story that can be enjoyed in any country and in any language, in that these are guys that are chavs. You guys got chavs. I got them in LA, but they're maybe into muscle cars and they're living in East LA. But every culture, every country has these kind of rapscallions that live on the edge of the law. I made sure, it was like when I wrote it originally, they dump a body, let's say, in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. Well, I looked at a bunch of maps of Antwerp and was like, oh, it's a port city. What if they found shipping container place and they could go dump the body there? So it was really about trying to find, there's a city park. They're playing basketball. Well, they don't really play basketball here, but there's a city park and they all play chess here. And so you just sort of, if you think universally human when you're writing these things, I feel they're a lot easier to adapt to other countries and cultures, because everybody's got thugs, everybody's got a park, everybody's got a place to hide a dead body. You just have to change it up a little bit.
Now, I love this from talking to Jonas, how one of the big ideas for when they're trying to escape from trouble is to go down a very famous foot tunnel in the centre of Antwerp.
Right.
But you found this thousands of miles away, not him.
Yeah, and I've never been to Antwerp, right? And it's in Dutch and I don't speak Dutch. It's the craziest thing. But the original sequence took place in Hollywood. And there's a place called Crossroads of the World that's like an abandoned shopping center right in the heart of Hollywood. They shot some Port Fairlane. I think Robert Englund gets tossed off the top of it in Port Fairlane. So I wrote it that there's a chase there, and he runs over the guy. But then they were like, we want to go up. We've got a little bit more money than you predicted. Can you do something else? So I was looking at YouTube videos of Antwerp, looking at maps of Antwerp, looking at Google Maps of Antwerp, and just sort of learning my way. And I saw a YouTube video that the tourists had made where they had bicycles, and they went into this elevator and went into a pedestrian tunnel. And I said, man, it looks like you might just be able to fit a car in there. you might be able to fit a car in there. So I called up Jonas and I was like, I'm thinking about adding this. And he was like, oh, everybody knows that tunnel, but they do like dance sequences and whatever. And he's like, no one's ever put a car down there. Don't write it yet because I don't know if we'll be able to do it. So I sat on that idea for a couple days and was working on this stuff. And he calls me. I was like, Antwerp says we can do it. Write that scene. And so I wrote this tunnel sequence. It's one of the most it's a super exciting sequence in the movie. Yeah.
Well, look, thank you very much for joining us on FrightFest TV.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Nice to meet you in the real.
Thank you.